Jesus said, "Love your neighbor." Imagine if we took that literally and went about and loved our neighbor. Here's a story of someone who did just that.
Story wasn't so recent, but it was definitely significant for me and really changed my perspective on what I think about love your neighbor and kind of my perspective on that. It was a while ago. I was shopping in Walmart for diapers for one of my girls, and I was in line behind a gentleman, and he was buying food, and he was shopping and checking out cans of food, and he had maybe a dozen cans of food, and he was carefully checking out his cans of food. Like, he was counting, he was watching as his total grew, and he was carefully counting his cans of food. And it almost seemed like he was, counting how much, it was totaling up to, and how much food he was going to have to eat. And I just noticed when I was in line, that he was just so careful about it. And he got to a certain point and he's like, okay, I'm going to have to stop there. And it just like really struck me as I was in line with diapers, that he was going to not be able to buy this amount of food that he had on the conveyor belt there. And so he totaled out and he pulled out the money he had in his wallet, all he had, and he purchased just a certain amount of food. And he was going to walk away, and all of a sudden it just struck me, and I was like, stop. And I was like, wait. And then I said, just wait. And I said, ring up the rest with mine. And the cashier was confused for a second. And she was like, wait, you want this food? And I was like, well, ring it up with mine, but put it in his bag. And he was confused and the cashier was confused, and I was like, no, I want to buy it for him, ring it up with mine and put it in his bag. And he was like, wait, you want to buy the food for me? And she's like, wait, you want the food but you want it. And so I had to explain it a couple of times. I was like, ring it up with my diapers but put it in his bag, please. Like, just buy his cans of food for him, I'll pay for it. And I turned to him and I said, my name is Rachel. And I shook his hand and I said, what's your name? And he said his name was James. And I'll never forget it because it's my brother's name. And even though it was years ago, I won't forget his name. And I just thought, it could have been my brother. It could have been my brother that needed help. And I just said to him, there's been times when I needed help and people helped me. And I just want to help you. I want to help you and buy your food. And later I thought I could have done more in that moment. I could have done more, but I just wanted him to know that someone saw him and saw that, he needed food for that week or whatever he needed. And that someone noticed. And so I bought his groceries and he left. And then I turned back to that cashier and she was crying. And she said, I've never seen anyone do that. And that's what changed my perspective, because I was like, such a simple thing, and I should have done more. I could have done more, but such a simple thing. And she had never, as a cashier, seen anyone do that before. And I was like, something so little, and it shouldn't be so rare. It shouldn't be so rare for someone to do such a simple act. And so, yeah, it changed my perspective on how loving your neighbor should be.